CBS Sports SEC post-spring power rankings has Auburn listed as the 12th best team. But are they the 12th best team in the SEC?
This is the Weekend Tailgate. Brought to you by Golden's Cast Iron. C-Dub. I Joe. Be Will. My G. You are now listening to
The Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by the good folks at Golden's Cast Iron. Whether you work out, grill out, or chill out, make sure you head over to goldenscastiron.com/WR and use code Get Your Weight Up 15% off of weights, $65 off of fire pits and Kamado grills when you use code TWR. If you're out there in the community of the War Report and you are watching this and you wonder, is there more to being able to get great content from the folks over at the War Report? You are in luck. If you're part of Green Name Gang, we can get you hooked up with stuff like office hours, because your boy Ike Jones just be in here shooting the breeze with the people of the Green Name Gang community. Or you get stuff like film reviews. I'm hooking that up as well. So make sure you tap in with that. $5.99 per month will get you to that top level where you get all the goodies. Maybe somebody in the Green Name Gang wants to gift you a membership. You get a free month's membership on them. So make sure you tap in with them over there in that way. And then, maybe, get a chance to see what it's like and like, hey, I actually enjoy this, especially when we get into the season and we get into that post game breakdown of the film. I know people love doing that, and that is going to be, hopefully, prayerfully, not a heart attack inducing thing for us this year, but we will see it how that goes along, man. But let's get over here into this conversation. See, man, we don't belabor too much, talking about too much stuff.
Welcome, Ike.
Yeah, man,
to list season. All right,
it is list season. Yeah, we love list season.
You had spring.
Yeah,
we're in the off season, but this is list season. Everybody got list, Ike.
Yeah,
we need to have make a list.
I actually like list season. I used to hate it, right? I used to hate list season because I was like, many people don't know what they're talking about. But it gives us more stuff it gives us more things to discuss on our show, and other people's perspectives outside of the Auburn bubble of what they think about Auburn. And so we get an opportunity to say, these guys are crazy. They have no idea what they're talking about. Or this person is a genius, absolutely knows ball. We get that opportunity to do all of those things during list season. So I love it. I welcome list season now as a content creator. But you are right. Maybe we need to come up with some of our own lists.
I think we might need to make our own power rankings.
So let's do this. Let's do this. In the comment section, whether you're watching this live or in the chat, what do you want the War Report to rank? I want to hear from y'all. What kind of rankings do you want to hear from us?
I like how you think, sir.
We do have the Just a Sec pod content that we can go and we can put some SEC wide stuff out there. What kind of things do you want to hear rankings from us about? Put that in the chat. Put that in the comments after the video. I want to hear from you guys about rankings. Yeah. It doesn't mean literally ask us to rank anything.
we need to rank
football.
We need to rank internet connection because Mike G is blurry is all get out. How you doing, Mike?
I'm good. It is list
bad storms?
season.
Bad storms.
Yeah, it hit us, and there were some downed trees on power lines. And the power was out all morning, and it was classic country stuff. But it's up, and you guys let me know if I'm coming in any clearer here. So
you're getting clear. It's good to see you, and I'm glad you're safe. Most importantly, let's get to it, shall we? The first up, and by the way, I do like Ike's request of those in the chat. We would like to hear from you. What would you like for us to rank in the offseason? We can do an episode show based on that. I like this. Lawrence Robinson. Rank the coaches, stadiums, mascots.
I'm putting that down on the list. Coaches is already on the list of things that other people will be ranking. So I'm sure we'll get to react to that and we'll get to kind of put them in our own power ranking. But I definitely think coaches is one that is deserving of a conversation. I especially want to get into that basketball conversation about coaching because, of course, Auburn's going to be higher on my list in that ranking. But we can definitely do coaches. Stadiums. I haven't been to all the stadiums, so it's going to be difficult for me to rank all of them, but I can rank the ones that I've been to. A combined effort here maybe will allow us to rank them. I plan on making some more trips this year so we can get some more off of that list. But yeah, coaches, stadiums, mascots, definitely. We can definitely do mascots. There are some ratty looking mascots out there, especially some of the other tigers around this league. So I am looking forward to doing that. Albie automatically should be number one, all bias aside. I mean, look at the trophy case, right?
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
But yeah,
these mascots, these tiger mascots,
everybody below Albie.
Like an actual tiger got a hold to him. It looks a mess. It looks like a hot mess. But yeah, I appreciate the submission. We would love to hear from other people as to what you would like to see us rank. Let's get into CBS Sports. Gentlemen, they actually released their post-spring power rankings for the SEC. Let's look at how everything shakes out and where does Auburn fall. We already talked about it at the top of the show. Let's have a look. So, number 1, Texas, followed by LSU at number 2. Bama is number 3 here, followed by Georgia at 4. Mike, Oklahoma is slated to make a resurgence, and they're slotted at 5. Ole Miss is at 6. South Carolina 7, Florida 8, Tennessee 9. We can kind of imagine why that is. We'll get into that. A&M is at 10, Missouri 11. Auburn comes in at 12, Mike, followed by Arkansas at 13, Vanderbilt 14. Interesting there. Kentucky 15 and Mississippi State is 16. Your thoughts on this initial thoughts as you see this? I understand number 1. I understand 16. Everything in the middle is debatable. Your thoughts, sir?
I think that this list, right, like, is a perfect example of the duality of man. Like, if you look at like Andy Staples had Auburn the 13th best team in the country,
right? And to be 12th in the SEC, I don't think is indicative of the talent level on the Plains. But certainly I understand any skepticism because most of the teams ranked in front of Auburn right now in these power rankings, you could probably argue had a better season than Auburn last year, right? A&M outside of Oklahoma.
Oklahoma's debatable, right? Very, very debatable. But with what Billy Napier had to work with at Florida, I would say they had a better season than Auburn. Tennessee made the playoff. Missouri was, fell short of expectations, but they had a better season than Auburn. LSU, Alabama, Georgia, Texas. I get it. I get if you feel like these teams are ahead of Auburn right now. But like I said, there are a lot of other rankings out there that have Auburn in the top 15 in the country, and they're looking at talent more so than what results to this point, which is what I think these standings reflect. Now, we'll be at Media Days. Ike and I will be, and we'll have a chance to vote in rankings that maybe matter a little bit more than whatever this is Brad Crawford did. But I don't think that Auburn is the 12th best team in the conference. I don't think that ranking is reflective of the talent on the Plains. If I would love to hear him explain why he has Auburn at 12. Does he feel like this is a coaching issue? Does he feel there are 11 better coaches than Hugh Freeze in the conference right now? Because I'm telling you, not all these teams have more talent than Auburn. Right? So, what else are you basing your rankings on other than previous history and bias, current talent level, and where you feel the coaching is at on each one of these squads? I think those are the 3 main factors that you consider when you're putting together power rankings. And nobody with a brain would say that Auburn is the 12th most talented team in the conference.
Right.
I don't see that personally.
Do you think there's a correlation between wins, losses, and talent?
Sure. Yeah, in some respect. But again, that's where you got to dig into the weeds and you got to look at what's happening at each one of these programs.
Right.
I mean, I would argue this might be one of the least talented Bama teams we've seen in a while, but you just ranking them their third. Like South Carolina, I don't know that they have significantly more talent, like 5 spaces more talented than Auburn. I don't know that that's true. But I get it. Like, and if you're saying to me, if you come back and you say to me, there's very little difference between 5 through 12 in these rankings. If that is your ideology, I could buy into that. Like, but I don't know. Like I said, I can't look at this and say they're the 12th best team. And that's no homerism. That's just look at the talent. Go back and look at the average star level. Look at how Hugh Freeze has improved this roster. They're better than 12. They're better than 12, and they certainly will finish better than 12.
Before I get to Ike's thoughts on this, do you think that obviously these outlets have to do lists at this time of year? How much difficult is it to do these lists now that we're in the NIL transfer portal era where people are basically swapping out rosters, it seems, at a rapid pace? Like, how much difficult is this to do?
Yeah, I think that it's almost impossible to really get a gauge of how talented a roster is in this era where people are all over the place, right? Like if it was more of a linear growth situation where it's like, okay, you look at this class and they're stacking classes, and then you maybe get 1 or 2 guys during the offseason. Now where you're 10, 12, I mean, gosh, man, like a team like freaking Ole Miss, for instance, that every single year they're basically refreshing their roster because they're living in the transfer portal. Like, I don't know how good that Ole Miss team is actually going to be and how well they're going to gel. And they're starting a new quarterback this year, right? Like, Simmons looked good in small sample sizes last season when Jackson Dart went out. But, like, how is he going to be over the entirety of a season? I have no idea, right? And so people are going to have more tape on him. They're going to be game planning for him a little bit differently than they would have before. So you don't really know what you're going to have in that. Mateer looked fabulous at Washington State, and he's here with his offensive coordinator in Oklahoma. But is he ready for an SEC season? Nobody knows for real. Yeah. Alabama, new quarterback. You have no clue what you're going to get out of that offense. New offensive coordinator, albeit a guy who has been there with the head coach before, but these players are learning a new system. It's not like they brought a bunch of players that have been in that system before, starting a brand new quarterback. You have no idea what that's going to look like. Georgia, brand new quarterback. You have no idea that running back room is refreshed. Their top receivers are gone. They got some good receivers in the transfer portal. They got Branch down from USC, right? You don't know what that team is going to look like offensively. You kind of expect the defense, Kirby Smart, to do what it does. As much as everybody loves Arch Manning in Texas and what they saw from him in a small sample size, brand new quarterback there. LSU is the only one in that top area that has a quarterback with multiple years of experience in the same system in Garrett Nussmeier that is ranked up there. But did their defense actually improve during this offseason? I was on the train last year that defense was not going to be much better in this next season, and they weren't. Did they get better now in another year with this defensive coordinator? I don't know. Talent-wise, I hadn't been paying that much attention to what they did in the transfer portal. So I think it's really difficult to do that. Lenore Sellers, fantastic quarterback. They lost quite a bit. Did they refresh that in the proper way? I don't know. DJ Lagway looked like he's good. Small sample size, but he looks like he's going to be good. But let's not forget how close to the deathbed Florida was early last season. And did they do enough in the offseason to resurrect the program, or are they going to reset back to the doorstep, right? Like, is the Reaper just like, did he just take a break, or is he really fully away from that athletic department?
Nah,
I don't know the answer.
He's hanging around. He's hanging around. He's around.
He went to lunch.
He's creeping.
He just clocked out for a minute. He'll be right back. You know what I'm saying? You leave a message, he'll be right back for you. Tennessee is in a situation where they looked like they had some stability, right? And now they're resetting their entire room with a brand new quarterback coming in. I have no clue what Tennessee will look like offensively. Like, I think it might have been a slightly different had Tennessee had a backup quarterback that had been in the system for a while, and Nico was just the presumptive starter. But now you're bringing in a brand new guy that you don't know whether or not he have no clue. No clue what Tennessee's going to look like offensively. Is that defense going to be as good as it was last year? Because really, that defense is what made Tennessee, the defense and the run game, starting running back not there anymore, is what made Tennessee a good team last year. Are they going to be able to do that again? I think Marcel Reed's a really good quarterback. Texas A&M is going to get better defensively. I think that Texas A&M is actually going to be a pretty good team this year. Missouri, brand new quarterback. Like Missouri doesn't even know who they're starting at quarterback right now. Right. So if this factors in QB play, who are you saying? Are you saying Prebola, the guy who transferred from Penn State, who barely played any snaps up there? Or like, how does Missouri get? Because we know what that Missouri offense looked like when Brady Cook wasn't in there. It was awful. And you still got Drew Pine sitting there as one of the presumptive potential starters. Like, come on now. Like, I ain't believing in that. So I don't know how good Missouri is going to be. I'll skip over Auburn because we've talked about them a lot. But Arkansas, I think, will improve in year two. You know, got a year two starter there, year two with the offensive coordinator. I think that they will be better offensively this season. They're still going to be good defensively. T. Wilson is a great defensive coordinator. Vanderbilt's going to be decent again this year. You got a good quarterback. You got a chance to be good. The question is, they lost a lot of the pieces around that quarterback, right? You believe in the play caller. You believe in the quarterback. Do you believe that they can get stops? Because that was the big problem for Vanderbilt last year. If you could score points on Vandy, then like you had a good, but if you're not moving the ball, not scoring points, then they can play keep away. Kentucky, I mean, I don't even know what to say about Kentucky. Like, let's be for real. Like, they got
Zach Calzada is their quarterback now.
Yeah, they got Zach Calzada in there right now, but they lost like their leading receivers on that team. They lost a lot of guys up front on the defensive line. So, you know, they're probably where they need to be. Mississippi State actually might be kind of a sleeper team this year. I ain't gonna hold you. Like, I think offensively, Jeff Lebby has turned that offense. Like, Mississippi State was putting up points last year. Let's be clear. Right. They were putting up points on darn near everybody last season.
Yeah,
if they improve
they couldn't stop
slightly better on defense, if they get slightly better on defense, they're going to be a problem with a year two starter at quarterback there for Mississippi State. So I don't think Mississippi State is the worst team in the SEC is my point there. I don't think that, you know, they're going to win the SEC by any means, but like, I don't think they're the worst team. So yeah, it's a very long-winded way of answering the question. It's hard to do this in the transfer portal era because circling back to Auburn, you don't really know what you have in Jackson Arnold. You have a bunch of maybes, possibly I could see it, but is he the guy that was deer in headlights behind a terrible offensive line for Oklahoma, as people in all over social media who are Oklahoma fans who love to put this kid down say turnover prone fumble machine? Or is he the guy that was the 5-star plus hype coming out of high school that just didn't really have the stuff around him to be able to perform at the level that his talent allows him to? You don't know the answer to that. And you don't know whether or not he's going to function better in this Hugh Freeze offense. You don't know what the run game is going to look like for Auburn. You know that defense is going to be good. They didn't do anything but get better on the defensive side. But the offense is going to be the question for this. So it's difficult to say where they rank in all of these things. But to the point Mike G was making, I don't know that 12 is the right spot. I don't think they deserve to be top 2 or 3. You know, if you're going off of they haven't proven anything. I mean, yeah. What did Oklahoma prove?
Well, let me just interject a point, because I thought you beautifully broke down kind of like the state of the conference there, right? Yeah. That was like a beautiful 1 through 16. There's something you missed though. And it's something that it's been weighing on my heart, and I prayed about it, and God wants me to speak on this. Can we stop giving Ole Miss credit for shit? I'm sick of them. Can we just stop giving Ole Miss credit? What have they done to deserve 6th? Screw these guys. They had one of the easiest playoff last year.
And the Lord spoke from heaven and he said, screw those guys.
Screw it, those guys.
Now, I'm going to tell y'all this. They lost in OT to LSU in a game that they had won. They lost to Florida late in the season, inexplicably. And then they lost to Kentucky last year.
Yeah, that's bad.
15th on this list. Guys, hear me out. Kentucky was a bad loss.
It was like in hindsight, it was an awful loss.
Awful loss, right? And so when we talked about their schedule last year, we said they have no excuse to not start 6-0. None. Now they started 5-1 and then lost almost every pivotal game that they needed to be a solid playoff contender. Now they did beat Georgia, so I'll give them credit for that, I guess. But like I'm tired of them, man. I'm tired of them getting the benefit of the doubt. Like after so many years of just kind of like flopping at the end, them and Missouri should have been lock playoff teams this year. The fact that both of those teams missed the playoff last year with their QBs, by the way, is crazy. Was Brady Cook overrated? I don't even think he got drafted.
If he did, it was super late.
I don't think he got drafted. Remember, I was talking to you and we were like, yo, is Brady Cook like the 18th best quarterback on the board? He was down at the bottom of the list.
Yeah.
All I know is that Joker found something for us at the end.
Man, I don't even want, bro.
So
that's crazy. That's still one of the crazy. Like he could not walk,
get over that.
Bro. Was at the freaking hospital and came back to like
from the dead, resurrect.
I just think that's just karma for them literally handing us the W in 2022.
Okay, so I just again, if you were trying to sell to me that there's very little difference between 5 and 12, I'll buy that. The truth is somewhere in the middle for Auburn, though. I'm not buying 12. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I did. I think we could all be in agreement that 5 through 12, like, honestly, I find it like Vanderbilt, if we're being honest.
Okay, hold on. Before you say that,
go ahead.
Who is too low?
Vandy's too low.
High.
Mississippi State's too low.
Vandy might be too low. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, but I mean, and when I say too low is kind of rough, right? Like because it's not like there's a bunch of people they're clearly better than in the conference. It's just
I think that they can be in that jumbled mess that you're talking about. That 5 through 14 is probably the more jumbled mess of like I don't know where these teams really should be.
Could go either way for any of those teams in that. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Now, I do believe right now that Kentucky and Mississippi State probably are the worst teams in the conference, worst rosters. I think Kentucky's a little bit worse, honestly, than Mississippi State. Just because I don't believe that their defense got better during this offseason. And I have not done a deep dive into their roster and what they did in the transfer portal, but they lost their leading receivers and some of their best players on defense. I don't, unless they really was killing it in the offseason, which Kentucky has proven they don't really like spending a whole bunch of money on football. So I don't know how they got significantly better, but I can go check their transfer portal stuff and see, but I just don't believe Kentucky got better during this offseason for real. And again, I believe that Mississippi State's probably a little bit better than the worst team in the league. So, but yeah, I can buy into after you get past Georgia. I ain't gonna hold you. Bama at 3 might be a little overrated too. Might be.
I'm saying, I mean, they're living on the legend of Nick Saban, and it's every year it's going to fade just a little bit more. But who's Ty Simpson? He's looking like he's going to be the guy over there in Tuscaloosa. There are a lot of questions that I have about even the top 4. Right, like,
and I guess the top 4 is these are the teams of the SEC who has a legitimate shot at a playoff spot. Yeah, like that's how I look at this list here.
Caesar, here's how I view 5 through 12. With the right pieces, a little bit of luck, and some good coaching, any one of these 5 through 12 teams could bust into that top 4 this year.
Okay,
I think there's a lot of potential for 5 through 12 to bust into the top 4 with a little luck. And because this isn't the Georgia that we're used to. They're still extremely talented. I'll never disrespect what Kirby Smart is doing in Athens, but the string of finding good QBs at some point, we saw them falter a little bit with Carson Beck. Can we all just sit here and say, like, I don't know that Carson Beck has ever been as good at Georgia as Stetson Bennett was the second year he started.
Oh God, no.
No, that's a fact.
Right.
I think Carson Beck is easily more talented, but I don't think he played as well as
Stetson Bennett.
Stetson Bennett. Yeah, no.
Right. So that being said, quarterback play in Athens has consistently gone down since Stetson Bennett left. It was rough the year after. It was even rougher the year after that.
Yeah. He somehow got worse in year 2.
Mm-hmm.
As far as
it's a question mark now.
Yeah,
you saw what it looked like when he went out.
Yeah, and I know he won the Heisman. There's a massive drop off from Jaden Daniels to Nussmeier. Massive drop off. Now, I mean, Texas
should have been a massive drop off.
Maybe got a little better from Ewers. At least I feel like they're holding serve at QB. Yeah. Everybody else has questions. I don't know, and I would have put Tennessee up there, but like minus Nico, just for consistency, like Ike was talking about, and stability. Yeah. But without him, throw him back in the pack. I mean,
if we go back and we rank this by quarterback play, this list changes completely.
Drastically.
Yeah. Diego Pavia, Rockets, Vanderbilt up this list. Lenore Sellers, Rockets, South Carolina up this list. Lagway gets a lot higher on this list for Florida. Right. And then it gets shaky after that, right? Mm-hmm. Because Marcel Reed is good. How good is he? Like you said, Nussmeier's been okay, but he ain't been lighting the world on fire.
Who's Lane Kiffin starting at quarterback this year?
Austin Simmons.
Austin Simmons? Is he the guy? Right. Yeah, he's the one who spelled dart and relief last year, right?
Yeah, he was true freshman last year. This will be his second season, and he will be the guy. Yeah.
Lane Kiffin and a quarterback that he had as a true freshman. Have we seen it at Ole Miss yet?
No.
It's
always been transfers.
I'm telling you, that's been Hugh Freeze's knock. It was Gus's knock. Developing a freshman QB is hard to do in today's college football. I thought that Saban had a really good string of them. Getting Bryce and Tua and Jalen. And I mean, he had a Mac. He had Mac as a freshman. They had a really, really good run at QB. And those were all guys, and not a single one of the guys I mentioned was a transfer.
Right.
Those weren't portal guys. Those were guys that got recruited by Bama, developed by Bama, built by Bama. I hate that I had to say that out loud.
Yeah, that sounded crazy.
Yeah, man, I take it back. They're trash. all those QBs are trash. But look at around the league right now and tell me who's got a better situation than Auburn's got one current and one former 5-star guy in the room. So, I think with the approach that Hugh Freeze has taken to this, and I get it. If you are in the camp that says, I got to see it before I believe it, I hear you. Because the first 2 years were so underwhelming, that's fair. As long as we're acknowledging, like I said, the main point of this, that there is not a ton of difference between 5 through 12 in this conference. So 12 sounds bad, but I would love to hear from Brad Crawford. I could accept these rankings if he got on here and told me, look, I put Auburn at 12, but I have questions about Hugh Freeze.
Yeah, I mean, we'll hear his words.
Yeah.
We'll get into what he wrote in the article here. So
we're going to talk about it, Mike. We're going to talk about it. That's for the later segment.
Yeah, and I want everybody to know here, we don't often do this, but I sit down for my yearly one-on-one with Hugh Freeze tomorrow morning. And we're going to go through some of this. We're going to talk about the expectations on Auburn this year. We're going to talk about those first 2 years. We're going to talk about his approach to roster management and building a roster and coaching changes. We're going to dig into all this. If you wanted answers, I'm going to do my damnedest to get them for you guys tomorrow. And I just, like I said, I don't know. Anyway, but you said we're going to get into his words. I'm ready to hear it.
Well, we will definitely do that. Before we get into that, though, let's pay some bills. Guys, we appreciate you hanging out with us. Please be sure to hit the like button on this video. We appreciate you guys who are in the comment section. Let's pay some bills. We'll come back and talk about what was specifically said by Brad Crawford about Auburn as the 12th best team in the SEC.
This edition of the War Report is brought to you by our generous sponsors. The Opelika Rage Room in Opelika, Alabama. The Rage Room is a place where anger and stress find their ultimate release. Call or text 334-777-6688 to set up a session today, or check them out online at opelikaRageroom.com. Golden's Cast Iron. Whether you work out, grill out, or chill out, you deserve the best life possible, and Golden's Cast Iron is here to provide the tools to help you do it. Check them out at goldenscastiron.com.
As always, want to thank our title sponsor, Golden's Cast Iron, for sponsoring this segment. Also, guys, become a patron. We're on the road this summer, bringing you guys lots of great content. SEC Media Days is coming. Ike and I will be there all week, reporting live from Atlanta. That's at the College Football Hall of Fame. So you don't want to miss any of that content. Help support the work that we're doing by hitting that join button. $5.99 a month will get you there. Also, you can hit that gifted membership button if you want to give the gift of the War Report. See if we can give a few more given away over the back half of today's show. We appreciate our community for always coming through strong with the gifted memberships. Also, our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com and use code REPORT to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, the Rogue Shop has something that has you covered. Leaving a little note in there for everybody who uses code REPORT. So we appreciate our guy Richard for sponsoring this segment, and our friends at the Vibe Vault, Not Just Barbers, lifestyle consultants. You can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Sweet Eye in Phoenix City, Alabama. The Vibe Vault, helping keep the community fresh. If you are in the Phoenix City, Columbus area, or if you don't mind making the drive down from Auburn, Opelika, please visit them and let them know that the War Report sent you. Guys, check us out on podcasts, every single podcast platform. We are there bringing you guys lots of great audio-only content. The Auburn Express, Up-Tempo, College Loop, and Just a Sec pods, bringing you all the Auburn content you need, whether you're on your way to work, dropping the kids off to school, on the way to the gym. We got you covered. And check out our merch store. I don't see the book merch in here, but I'll show you this graphic. Visit thewarreport.com and hit that merchandise section and get in on lots of the great merch that we have here. Ike designs all of this stuff. I know he has a blast designing it for you guys. And he's made a lot of custom pieces that you guys have requested as well, too. You guys want a t-shirt? Get in the chat. Tell Ike what you want him to make, and he will custom a t-shirt to put in the merch store, as long as they don't say nothing too crazy. I think we got you guys covered.
All right. Let's get to some of you guys' comments. Many of you were giving us some of your suggestions and what you wanted us to review. Felix the Cat, good to have you here with us. He says defense, linebackers to be more specific.
Okay.
So we want to rank linebackers.
Defenses in the league. Okay. That's going to be I'll find a pretty subjective measure to see if we can rank them. And all right, I'll figure that out.
Yeah. Anthony Long comes back with a comment, says this ranking shows that people base their post-spring rankings on the way the previous year ended.
I mean, and I think that's not unfair, but the problem with that is it's definitely not going to be the same team.
It's not nuanced, though. There's no nuance in that. I get it, right? If you are saying I'm skeptical because of what happened last year, because of the actual results, we get it. We do. But you have to factor in the improvements that happen in the offseason, and you have to factor in what I will call the whatever the opposite of improvements are that are happening for some of the other teams. Tennessee got worse.
Yeah.
Some of these teams clearly got worse. Missouri is not going to be a better team than they were last year. No Luther Burden, no Brady Cook. Come on, man. They're not going to be a better team. If you think they just got Luther Burdens laying around there, I got news for you. They don't. It's Missouri. They barely belong in the SEC.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just saying.
James McAlpine says we should be overlooked. We deserve the basement dweller treatment.
I think that's the way they prefer it. Honestly.
Yeah. I mean, there's this prevailing idea that whenever Auburn's overlooked, look out for them. And it's like, all right, I guess, but I would love to be in a situation where Auburn can be predicted to do well and then do well. Like, I want to get out of the, man, we got to be the Cinderella all the time narrative that is prevailing.
And to me, the reason why I feel that way, Ike, the way you do, is because what that tells me is that Auburn is consistently up and down.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So what that tells me is that in order for Auburn to have that type of scenario, we have to actually be down a year for people to then start doubting us. Because again, that's human nature, right? If a team is consistently or not consistent in terms of winning, you're going to develop the expectation that they're probably not going to win as much. Right. And so you don't want this 3 to 4 year Auburn's going to be good every 3-4 years, because that's pretty much what was the Gus Malzahn regime, right? Auburn was really good one year, and then they would go to 2-3 years of kind of middle of the pack. They could be really good. They could be bad. 8-win solid year. You want some consistency, which means they're going to have to start breaking through even when people expect for them to break through. Greg Wheatley here says, take over for me, Mike.
Okay, I'm about to say I have no idea what just happened to Caesar's camera, but if we lose to Vandy this year, it's bye-bye Freeze. No excuse losing to Vandy. I don't think that by itself will be a reason. Like, if Vandy sneaks up on you, but you have a good season, no, Freeze isn't going to get fired.
Yeah.
However, if Vandy's loss is a harbinger of the other losses that are on the schedule, then you're in for a rough season. If you losing to Vandy at home, not a great situation. You're probably last year was not a good situation. They did well on the road versus Vandy year before, but that was not with Diego the Savior. And so we'll see if Freeze can actually get a win versus this guy for once in his career. But again, if it's coupled with other losses that you should not realistically lose because of talent, then I would agree, Greg. Then he might be on his way to, figuring out what his retirement plan is. What do we have next? You do have something else you want to say about that, Mike?
Yeah, I was going to agree with you. I think that if the Vandy loss is just kind of indicative of how the season is going, I would agree with this statement. But if you're having a good season and then, he just can't get over his Diego Pavia curse, I don't know. I just think that most fans are probably thinking in any season where we're losing to Vandy, we're probably not having a very good season.
Right.
And that's probably,
and that's not unfair. That feels about right. Yeah. Lawrence, Oklahoma is too high as well. Murderous schedule. If they lose, if Oklahoma loses to Auburn, Brent will be out mid-season. Do you think Brent Venables is enough on the hot seat to losing to Auburn would get him out the door?
I was going to say, I don't know that Venables has shown me much since he's been at Oklahoma.
He hasn't.
I don't know
last year in terms of injuries.
Yeah, he did. But like offensively, I just don't know that he's doing much there. And hiring is so important, obviously, when your defensive guy, which is where he cut his cloth as a coach, you got to be able to just turn it over, right? And have a guy who can run that side of the ball. I don't think they've necessarily had that. And I know the injuries have played a factor. I mean, they were decimated at wide receiver last year. But they also just weren't very good. I think those two things can be true at the same time. So Venables, to me, I'm not sure about out mid-season, but I think that going into next season, that season is going to be extra hot. For sure. If they don't have an 8-9 win season.
Yeah, Oklahoma fans, I think, if they're healthy this year and they don't get to 8 wins, there will be a lot of angry people around Norman.
Yeah, and again, you got to remember, this is a guy who actually had to fire his OC mid-season. So obviously he felt some pressure. So going into this year, he's going to have to show that he's turning things around. Oklahoma is a program that's used to winning. So they're not going to settle for. They're not going to stand for this too much longer.
Yeah, right.
So-
Because you could have the mediocre ass seasons in the Big 12 and still win the Big 12. That ain't
Right.
flying over here in the SEC. If you're
Right.
going to be mediocre, you're going to be right there in the middle of the pack where everybody else fighting for your life by game 6. Fighting for your job by game 6.
Yeah. Plain Truth says, I really think Texas A&M is going to be a really good team next year. I was impressed with Texas A&M in terms of like what they had at QB, some of the talent that they had. I know they went into the portal pretty heavy, but
Yeah. How much do you like Mike Elko as a coach?
I like him. I think
like
Mike
him.
Elko's a good coach. He's a good defensive mind. You know, a little bit of a whiner, but you know, yeah.
My thing is with defensive coaches, you always want to know how tight of the reins they're going to have on their offense, right? So that's the thing with him. But I think they're going to play good defense, and they're going to be a tough out for most teams in the SEC.
Yeah, it's just, you know, Jimbo Fisher he just kind of ruined Texas A&M for a few years, right? Like you had the $30 million recruiting class. You had the greatest recruiting class of all time, the most 5-stars to ever be 5-stars. And they just tanked it. And they are the shining example of why it takes more than just stacking talent. Like,
yeah,
for all the talent they had to actually be in a position to miss a bowl game is crazy. To miss a bowl game and then miss it. Wow. Like, I mean, he drove that program down and every resource available to you. This is the same criticism that I've consistently had for Freeze. It's not just about the results. It's about the resources that you have to work with and the results that you're producing.
Yeah.
This is why I think he'll be in the same boat by mid-season if it's not clearly going better. That I don't think he's fired, but I do think
it's just year 2. They're not going to fire him in year 2.
Yeah, it's going to be hot, right?
Yeah.
Because if you can't show that it's clearly moving forward, when now it's your team. John Cohen went on the rebuild press tour last season. I sat and watched it in person. He went on Feinbaum. He went every show he could to say, "We're rebuilding." Brother, it's a rebuild. This is his roster.
Yeah.
And you still may be a quarterback away from a championship, but you are not anything away from a bowl game. You should be in a bowl.
For sure.
A decent bowl at that.
Yeah. Now I ain't talking about the Independence Bowl. What's down there?
No, not Birmingham, not in Shreveport.
Yeah,
no.
nothing in Alabama
Florida.
or Louisiana.
Okay.
If it's not
Florida.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Derek Ghost Ware says it's no way in H Auburn is finishing outside the top 10. Big facts there.
I think that defense will finish inside the top 10 for sure.
Top 10 in the SEC or top 10 in the country? Because those are very different statements. Which one of those are you?
Well, I don't know. Are they?
I was thinking SEC.
Yeah, right.
Like, I agree with that.
We be packing that top 10 though. So like, I mean, 6 in the SEC might be still top 10 in the country.
Yeah. Jimbo made Texas A&M said, the buyout is $75 million. Let's pay it.
We're good.
He said in the SEC. He was clarifying in the SEC.
Okay.
SEC.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Fair.
So yeah, I agree, Mike. I think we're at a point now where you got talent, you got to do something with it. Let's pull back up the Ike, if you can get that together for us. Let's pull back up the graphic that showed CBS their actual post-spring power rankings there. If you
go to the merch
don't
store
mind,
first.
good sir. So what was said specifically? What did they say exactly about Auburn, right? Because that's always what I'm interested to see. You put Auburn there. What did you say? They didn't really. It wasn't truly a knock, guys. It was questions.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where I thought, okay, this is fair. Actually, I didn't get mad here because they didn't knock Auburn, because one of the things they gave a lot of love to, you got to give a lot of love here, is Auburn's receiving core, which is one of the things that they mentioned, that they have the finest collection of talent at wide receiver position in SEC. However, Auburn needs the production to match from the QB position and they're talking about how much maligned Jackson Arnold, former Oklahoma quarterback, along with a rebuilt offensive line, needs to show strong for Auburn's offense. So the question surrounding Auburn isn't defense, right, Mike? The question is about the offense. Can Jackson Arnold figure it out at a new spot? Can Auburn protect him, begin to really assert themselves in the trenches on the offensive side of the ball, which to me brings us back to the main guy running the show, Hugh Freeze. And my question to you gentlemen is this the year we see a Hugh Freeze offense at Auburn? Is this the year where Hugh Freeze's offense actually resembles a Hugh Freeze offense?
It has to
I think it better. Yeah, I think it better. Like, I just don't know how you go into year 3. You have the offensive coordinator that is you're back to running your system, right? It's not this whole, well, it's a little bit of Philip Montgomery, a little bit of mine. Like, that's out the window as of last year. You've got a quarterback who's familiar with running RPO, so there's no reason you shouldn't do it from that standpoint. You've got all of the types of receivers that you've been touting that you need, the guys with catch radius and all that. That all is there. Some of those guys are returning in this system. There's literally no reason why it should not be more resembling of what he wants to do and his identity as the play caller / architect of this. If it's not, then we got to have a very serious conversation about what is happening with this offense and why it can't get on track. There's just the excuses for why it shouldn't be. I don't have them. I don't have them unless the offensive line is so severely misevaluated as who the 5 guys should be up there. And those guys, even since Mike G and I talked about this offensive line, looks like it's going to be a good unit. So, absent of like freaking plague hitting the offensive unit where everybody gets injured and sick, there's just no reason for it not to look like it. Can somebody give me a reason why I shouldn't?
Yeah, I would say this, Ike, because if you haven't seen the deep dive that we did on offensive line, please go back and watch that. I think we put that out on Friday. Look, I think it has to be. I think it has to be this year. And the reason it has to be this year is because by his own admission, he has pointed to this year as the pivotal year for a lot of things. Now, we know by year 3, your recruiting class starts to take hold, but because of the portal, it's more of a 2-year thing than a 3-year thing now because you're replacing so much of your team every offseason. And you can go and find out quality starters, guys who are transferring from other programs don't have to come in and sit out a year. You've got those guys who you recruited as freshmen now who should be developing into starters. You should have your system and your coaching staff solidified by year 3. Year 3 is the year where it all starts to come together. And that doesn't mean championship. That just means like it should look like a Hugh Freeze coach team, like what Caesar is talking about. Now, when fans wanted Cam Ward last offseason, remember everybody talking, we got to go get Cam Ward, got to get Cam Ward. The reason they did not go get Cam Ward is because they felt like they were more than a quarterback away. So why go spend $2 million, because that's what it was being reported that he wanted, on a QB when it may not help us very much? Now, I think Cam Ward would have been good for an extra win in a bowl game, certainly. But if you're looking long-term, then you take the patient approach. This year is the year when we find out whether that was the right approach or not, Caesar.
Right.
Now we're going to find out, was it worth the wait? Was it worth waiting on Cam Ward? We're going to find out this year. And I just wish for his sake that the first 2 years had gone a little better so that we weren't sitting here feeling like this is a do or die season. Because that's what it feels like. You know, because of the way the first couple of years went, this feels a little bit more do or die than it should have been. But
and the reason for that, Mike, I think, is because we can point each year to a game one game that could have really changed the outcome of Auburn's season. Not to say that they would have gone on a playoff run, but you're talking about Auburn differently if Auburn makes a bowl in year 2.
Yes.
Right? And it's really just a one game difference if that's the case. So the fact that you basically didn't even make a bowl in year 2, and the belief was I have to improve Auburn's roster, which he did, and he
Sure.
needed to. Now that that's in place, the excuses are gone, and now it's time for you to do what you were hired to do.
Yeah.
He's the third. What is he? What is he, Mike? The third. What is it? Gus, Harsin, Hugh. He's the third offensive head coach Auburn has hired. And Auburn's offense hasn't seen much productivity really since 2017.
Yeah, it was here or there under Gus. Every once in a while, you have a good year. You know, when he was able to find his QB, right? Like, I'm just wondering, is there a version of Auburn that will ever exist that could do what Georgia did with Stetson Bennett at quarterback the first year they won a championship? Tons of talent. Maybe we don't have our QB, but we make enough offensive plays to win games, and our defense is top tier. I think.
Yeah, I'd say that defense at Georgia was so ridiculous.
Yeah, it was terribly
almost
awesome.
Anomalous. How good that defense was.
You know, so I'm thinking, you know, is there a version of that exists for Auburn where the defense carries you and you have so much leeway offensively that you don't need a game breaker at QB? Well, not a lot of schools are in that position. Certainly, that's the type of recruiting that they're attempting to do. They've done a good job. They've done a really good job at recruiting. I've been so impressed at the recruiting job. Now I need to see the development piece. Are guys developing? Are they turning into all SEC selections? Are QBs developing? And are we getting guys drafted? You know, a lot of folks argued with me about the association with losing, hurting Jarquez and Keandre Lambert-Smith in the draft. In a winning program, you see your mediocre guys get drafted. On name association alone, that's what Bama's been doing. They've been putting guys in the league, and it was just like, who? I ain't even remember that guy. He got drafted. He played under Saban. I want to see that from Hugh. Now, I'll tell you, when he recruited Perry Thompson, what's the guy? DJ Metcalf was on the phone with him. DK, I'm sorry. I don't want to call him DJ. DK Metcalf was on the phone with him. He was calling up all these guys he recruited and said, help me, please. I got to recruit. Thanks, Mike.
That's wild if you said that.
So, you know, I'm thinking, all right, well, he's using every tool he's got in the book. And now this is the year. This is the year that you have to see it. So, yeah, when Brad Crawford is making this list, if he feels like this isn't the year, then I get it. You know, if you're not a Hugh Freeze believer, if you're a Hugh Freeze denier, then I get the skepticism. But I just don't. This year, regardless of what you think of him as a coach, I think he stacked so much talent. You can't put that one-off, like, really, really good year out of consideration. Whether it's sustainable or not, we can talk about that when that time comes. But this year, speaking of this year, I think Auburn has a lot of potential in the schedule. I've called it the easiest schedule we've seen on the Plains in 20 years. Easily. And it doesn't mean that it's a cakewalk. It's just easy for Auburn. They're not going to get a schedule much easier than what we're seeing this year, many years. The elimination for divisions has opened the door to that. Now, you still got, you know, Alabama and Georgia every year, certainly. But those first 6, which are the hardest, is pretty light by comparison to other years. And the next 5 after Georgia should all be winnable. Who's on that list? What, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Mercer,
on the road. I think you got
Missouri, and Arkansas?
Yeah.
I think those are your next 5. Now, if we go by these rankings, those are all teams in the bottom half of this list. Kentucky, Vandy, Arkansas, Missouri. That's 11th or worse, according to Brad Crawford.
Yeah.
And then you got Bama, 3rd at the last game of the season. But I'm talking about that next 5 after Georgia. Come on. That's a 5-game potential winning streak on the back half of your season headed into the Iron Bowl.
Yeah.
Now, maybe it'll play out different. Like midseason could come and maybe Missouri's a monster.
I don't see it.
I don't see
I
it.
don't see it either.
I just don't see it right now. Yeah, I'm going to have to see it before I believe it.
I'm going to talk to my folks that I talked to during the offseason about Missouri, and I'll get their opinions on where their team is. But yeah, today they're gonna have to do some convincing today to make me feel like, oh, that Missouri game, like
a lot of eternal optimism over there, Ike, that I don't get. They're like that basketball, you know. You remember their basketball? We could be a number 1 seed. You can't.
That's the locked on Mizzou guy. He's the only person that's over there doing that.
I was like, what are you talking about? There was a lot of people in the comments agreeing with him, though. Yeah, I see it. I see the path. Yeah.
You know, I mean, but now that I think about it, Missouri fans do have a lot of optimism that they carry into situations that people talk about how unrealistic the expectations every offseason Auburn fans overhype themselves just to get Missouri fans, man. Like, even in the face of actual, there were facts that pointed to this is a terrible take, and they're like, yeah, we can do it. It's like, hey, bro.
In that voice, exactly. That's exactly how they sound.
Hey, come here.
Nerd.
It's like you just want to pull them to the side and be like, hey, this is stupid. Don't say this anymore.
Please believe me.
Please believe me. I'll tell you, they steady try to convince somebody that they're gonna make a championship somehow.
Off-season hype, like, I get it. Everybody has a reset optimism and like, oh, this is gonna be the year. We were so close. I get it, because I can talk myself into a lot of things about Auburn based upon how closely we lost games last year that they shouldn't have, and there's a bunch of reasons for optimism, and I can see why you would think that if you're a Texas A&M fan, right? Your quarterback's coming back, year 2 with your head coach, defensive guy, you just think, okay, we're just going to reload on defense. Like, I can see it there. I could even see it with Oklahoma fans feeling like Mateer's coming in with his offensive coordinator. They're going to get so much better at quarterback than they were last year. Injuries was really the reason we had a good defense. I can see it there, right? South Carolina feels like Lenore Sellers, right? DJ Lagway. Kentucky, I don't know. Like, why are you optimistic? Do we recall that last year during the offseason, they were having some kind of like booster thing with this guy from Kentucky, and he stood up in front of the room and he laid out the blueprint for how Kentucky was potentially going to go to the SEC championship. It's like, you win this game and you win this game, and then all you got to do is beat this team, and this team, and we're there, right? And Auburn was the team that they were like, it's just Auburn. And like, every fan base does this. I just don't understand where some of them find that. Like, what did you see in Kentucky last year that you're like, man, we were just 12 players away?
I know.
All we needed was a brand new offense and a couple of dudes on defense, and we were right there.
If we can just win 10 more games, then we're accustomed.
I don't know. Like, what was you seeing?
I know some of them watch this show, and from what I hear, there's some powerful stuff at the Rogue Shop that might cause delusion of grand. And for 15% off a code report, you can be as deluded as possible too. He'll help me out there. I'm sorry, I messed up.
It's all good. It's all good. Let's grab some comments. AU Alum 94 says, what I did hope to hear was Jackson Arnold going out there spring and playing like the 5-star he was. Didn't hear that, so he's concerned. Thoughts?
Yeah, but you didn't hear anything bad though, right? Like, it wasn't that you heard he did bad. You just didn't hear anything. And
what I'd say about that is I think that was more excitement about how well Deuce Knight was performing, and not necessarily that Jackson Arnold wasn't. Like,
they don't have many questions about Jackson Arnold, right? Like,
yeah. Deuce Arnold performed really well, and there's still no doubt Jackson Arnold's the starting quarterback.
You put them together. Was that your dream quarterback, Deuce Arnold?
Did I say? Oh yeah,
He said Deuce Arnold.
Deuce Knight performed really well, but there was still no question. Jackson Arnold is the
That's why you
starting
didn't hear
quarterback.
about Jackson.
Yeah,
Arnold.
proof.
He's
I
Deuce
want
Arnold.
the two QB system next year. Deuce Arnold.
You heard it here first. He said it. He wants the Deuce Arnold package.
But no, that's that. Thanks. But pretty much, you didn't hear anything because you didn't hear any. And I think you guys talked about this. You didn't hear anything about he's pressing. You didn't hear anything about Jackson Arnold struggling to figure out. Like you didn't hear anything like that, right? So, and I think we're so used to if we're hearing something about QB2, it's because QB1 isn't getting the job done.
Yeah.
And I think the narrative that's been the narrative, and I don't, from what I've been hearing from people close to the program, that's not the case this time around. It could just be that Auburn has, for the first time in a long time, two capable QBs in the locker room.
Man, I'm not ready to book that hard yet, y'all. I'm just not. I try to talk myself into this great quarterback room thing every year. I just need. That's what I need to see. I'll be happy with just one good one though.
Yeah.
Like just one.
Yeah.
Just one good and healthy quarterback for the entirety of the season. I'd be happy with that.
We covered this.
Not Heisman, just good.
Jackson Arnold had an invite to the Manning passing camp, and he decided to forego that invite in lieu of building chemistry and a relationship with his receivers. It was a very mature decision by Jackson Arnold to just, like, you know what, that sounds all glitzy and glammy and stuff, but I've got a team that I've got to lead in the fall, and I need every moment I can to develop a relationship and chemistry with the guys that I need to trust in me on Saturdays. So I'm gonna spend that time here. I love that about him. I thought that's the type of decision a leader would make. I thought it was very team first rather than me first. And I'm not saying that I'm not knocking what AU alum is saying here. Always appreciate his comments. I'm just saying I did not get any negative from Jackson Arnold this spring. Everything I heard was positive. You just didn't hear a ton about him lighting up camp and stuff. And I think that was by design, right? They don't want you to know. Hugh Freeze does not want you to know. He's trying to keep things quiet for the fall. This is why the spring game was pretty much just a practice.
Yeah.
I don't want to say they faked his hamstring injury, but like I started to go into conspiracy mode. Like, I just don't think they want to show Jackson Arnold to anybody before the fall. I think they want to just kind of unleash him.
I'm not mad at it. That we weren't it would have been only for the benefit of people to talk anyway, because it was a practice. So
I'm not even saying AU alum you shouldn't even be not skeptical. Like, I get it, my dude. Like, I think a lot of us are. I just think we have heard things that have given us pause, and we've had to work to try to explain it away, right? Or overlook it. There's nothing to explain away, at least until Jackson Arnold takes the field. So be skeptical, be weary of what we see roll out there, but I don't think anything concerning has showed up thus far from what we've seen. And I think that should be encouraging, because that is different from what we've heard in the past.
Yeah, well, I think they're just keeping things under wraps, and they want to go into the fall quietly with everybody just kind of doubting Auburn a little bit based on last year's results, and unleash it and hope that it works. Yeah.
Anthony Long says, Mike G, if Coach Hugh Freeze tries, and appreciate the super chat, by the way, if Coach Hugh Freeze tries to move the goalpost tomorrow about what he's been pointing to, year 3 success, please hold him to the fire. We don't care about the great stats or offensive play calling cohesion. We want W's, not excuses.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I'll tell you what I'll do between now and tomorrow morning, because we sit down at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning Central Time. Between now and tomorrow, hit the comments on the video for me. And if you have a question for Hugh Freeze, and it's a good one, we'll select a question. I will do my best to ask that question. Just make sure you drop your Twitter or your Instagram as well too, so we can credit you publicly for the question on camera, and we'll tag you guys on social media.
That'll work. Good stuff. Good talk as well, gentlemen. Mike, do you want to take us out of here with some
Yeah, as
announcements?
always, want to thank our title sponsor, Gold. Visit goldenscastiron.com/WR. Use code Get Your Weight Up for 15% off your weights and $65 off fire pits and Kamado grills with code TWR. Golden's Cast Iron. You want to be outside, work out, grill out, chill out with our friends at Golden's Cast Iron. I want to thank everybody who signed up for our membership today. We appreciate you guys for doing that. Also, our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com to use code REPORT to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, the Rogue Shop has something that has you covered. And after you get relaxed, get looking good with our friends at the Vibe Vault. Not just barbers, lifestyle consultants. You can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite I, in Phoenix City, Alabama. That's on Highway 431, right across from Chattahoochee Valley Community College, next to the Renfro Supermarket and the Marco's Pizza. The Vibe Vault, helping keep the community fresh. Guys, check us out on podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast. We are there bringing you lots of great content. The podcast you see here, whether you're on your way to work, gym, taking the kids to school, the War Report has you covered with all the Auburn content you can handle in audio-only format. And last but certainly not least, visit our merch store, visit thewarreport.com, and click on that merchandise button and get in on some of the great things we got going on over here. Ike designs all this stuff. Some of it is custom merch you guys have requested. The He Gone t-shirt made especially for our Green Name chat. But we appreciate you guys for helping support the work we do there.
And before you get out of here, we want you to please share this video with those that you know appreciate Auburn content on these YouTube streets. Smash that like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel. We're on social media, guys, putting out content regularly. Check us out at The War Report on X, IG, even Facebook. We are also TW Report on TikTok. Zipping out, guys. Keep it locked here throughout the week. We'll be dropping out content throughout. Mike G's been working hard. Ike's been working hard. Green Name Gang. Be on the lookout for some content as well. Until then, enjoy the rest of your weekend. And as always, work.